Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 11's recap of the overnight feeds. Well, not so much overnight feeds, unless you like kittens and puppies and rabbits, and who doesn't like them? But I kind of like watching Big Brother taking place on my live feeds as well, and we didn't have any of those overnight. As of the taping of this, 7:30 or so Central Time, we still don't have the feeds on. They've been off now for 12 plus hours. No clue what's happening. So I wanted to go ahead and come out here, talk about what we do know, and throw out some theories, talk about the possibilities of some different things that could be happening inside the house. Crazy times. All right. So let's talk about what we do know. It'll take about 30 seconds to do that. We know that Sam is HOH. We know that Riley and Cameron are on the block. We know that the house guests were woken up yesterday morning to draw for the veto competition. So it seems like a veto competition was planned for yesterday, but we did have the veto draw. And apparently, in addition to Riley and Cameron and Sam, who already were playing based on HOH and nominees, the three additional players that were selected to play were America and Blue and Matt. And Riley apparently drew house guest choice. My thought is that she probably would have picked Matt unless he'd already been selected. So I'm thinking she probably picked Matt. The other two were drawn, chips just drawn out of the veto draw bucket. So there you go. We had our 6 people selected. The feeds did go down yesterday. Now, they didn't go down until late yesterday afternoon, a little bit later than is typical for veto competition. Typically, we have the draw in the morning. We have the veto competition just a little bit after lunch or so. Now, this took place a little bit later. So at the time, I thought, well, is it possible? Two things. Either it was going to be a quick veto competition. They'd be in and out very quickly, or that it could be a nighttime competition. We had one of those during my season, the Haunting of Caitlin Herman. And that one, we started getting ready late afternoon, waited for the sun to go down before they filmed it. Timing seemed perhaps correct for that. So I was thinking it could be a nighttime competition, but not all night long. So we don't know. So is that it? That's what we know for certain. Is it when the feeds went down, who had been picked to play? What we don't know. Let's talk about all the crazy theories and ideas that could be taking place. One of the things I've heard a lot of people talking about is, could this be a pressure cooker competition, an endurance type competition? For those of you who don't know, pressure cooker was one of the old school competitions. All the house guests inside a greenhouse type thing with their hands on the button. Whoever kept their finger on the button longest won HOH. A very basic competition, which a lot of people have been asking to get back, and I would love to see it. But I don't know that that's what happened here, and this is the reason. When they had the pressure cooker competition, it was an HOH comp. This is a veto competition, which means only 6 people are taking place. I don't think they would have everyone else sitting there and watching such a long competition without a chance to play. I just don't see it. 2 reasons I don't think it's an endurance or pressure cooker is, first of all, again, the fact that only 6 people get to play. Secondly, as many people have been asking for something like this, it makes a lot more sense that this would have been something as an HOH where they could have had the live eviction episode. And then at the very end, Julie Chen starts the contestants off. You see the first 5 minutes of it. Maybe you got it on the feeds, maybe not, but at least you got the teaser. Everyone wondering how this long drawn out competition was going to take place. We didn't get that. I don't think that's the case. Just a little FYI, the way things work on veto competitions. There's some that are timed. That's the other theory I've heard, is that this could be a timed competition where it takes every person maybe an hour or so to do the comp. Then you've got reset times in between, get everything lined up and all of that. Could be, except we've already gone way past the time where 6 people should have competed, because at most, an hour and a half or so per person. It doesn't seem like it fits a timeline. The other reason I don't think it's that is because it would just be so frustrating for the rest of the house guests. The way the vetoes work when you have a timed competition is the 6 people who are playing each get sent off to a separate isolated room. The bathroom area, the diary room, each of the 2 bedrooms, and you don't talk to each other, and you wait for your turn to be called. Everyone who's not part of the competition, not part of those 6, goes upstairs to the HOH room and are locked down the entire time. They get to listen to music and have fun and all that, but they're all locked down. I can't picture our house guests being locked all down together up in the HOH room for 12 plus hours and having the other 6 locked in individual rooms for 12 plus hours as well. I just don't see it. I don't think this is a matter of an endurance type competition, either one at a time or all together. It makes more sense to have that kind of competition as an HOH. So I don't think that's the case. Of course, fees are going to come on in 5 minutes and prove me wrong, but I hope they come on, even if it proves me wrong. But I don't think it's that kind of competition. So then you have the idea or the theory or the thought, are the feeds off this long because something is happening that was planned and we just haven't heard about it yet or found out? Or has something unplanned happened inside this house that maybe merits more concern, more consideration? 1 or 2 more facts to throw out there. Do you remember the house guests got their backyard back after the HOH competition? Very unusual. You never get the yard back after the HOH because they're always then building the set for the veto competition. Once you lose the backyard, you don't get it back till Saturday night or so after the veto comp has been held. That wasn't the case this week. So we already had a little bit of an unusual situation. They got the backyard back, I don't know, just an hour or 2 after the HOH competition, maybe a little bit later than that. But they got it. They got the backyard back late Thursday night. So kind of strange with that. So that was weird. Now that suggested at the time 2 things to me. One was that whatever veto competition was going to be a very easy competition to set up, such as standing in boxes, answering yes, no questions, watching something on a screen, so something like that could have been the reason they got it back so quick. Still unusual, but possible, but not now that the feeds have been shut down so long on that. So I don't think it's an easy competition. The other thought I had at the time was maybe the veto competition is going to be played elsewhere, a different location. I had a few vetoes I competed in that weren't held in the backyard. So that was a possibility. It's still a possibility, but the location that the alternative location where events are held is very close to the backyard and to the Big Brother house, very close. So there's no reason that you would need this long for that either. I can't picture a bunch of production people and everyone standing around all night long filming anything when you could have done it during the day. So yeah, that's not making a lot of sense to me as well. So now let's talk about things that could have happened that are a little bit more unusual. One, talking about the planned situations. Could there be a major twist that happened and they just don't want us to know about it? I suppose so. A reset of the entire week, the introduction of a new house guest. Could there be some kind of multiverse twist that's kicked in? Yeah, that is certainly possible. And if you've got, maybe you had a reset, maybe they're playing not just veto, but they're playing HOH, renomination, then the veto competition, things like that. That's a possibility. But if you're doing something like that, why would you have the veto draw taking place early in the morning? Kind of the same thing with the house guest itself. Now, is it possible that they had a veto competition in this crazy scrambled world? Whoever won the veto, I don't know, pulled someone out of the netherworld, and we've now had the introduction of an 18th house guest of some sort. Yeah, that is feasible. I'm not sure exactly the procedure, but that's feasible for that to happen. So maybe so, but I question a little bit the timing on that because we have an episode on TV tonight, but it's taped. So I don't expect to hear anything. We don't have a live episode until Thursday, as far as we know. So are they going to keep this a secret from us until Thursday? That's a long time to be without feeds. I just don't see that happening. If they're trying to hide things from us, it seems like a long time to do it. We're going to have to find out before they actually get the live episode, before the casual viewers see it. So I'm kind of not buying into that one either. But what do I know? All right. And then finally, so those are kind of the expected things or the planned situations that may have occurred. I don't really find acceptable solutions for any of those. So then we have to look at the unplanned situations. And these worry me a little bit more. One of them, what if we had a wall yeller? right? Y'all know me, how much I do not like wall yellers, planes flying over, anyone trying to interfere with this competition. But it has happened in the past. It happened in my season. Could it have happened this season? And if so, what would they yell? Well, it seems like the absolute most natural thing that they would yell is that Sari and Jared are mother and son, and couldn't that blow up the whole house? Yeah, it could. You could have someone yelling that and absolutely create all kinds of chaos in the house. If people heard that, then suddenly you've got a lot of people talking inside the house. We don't know what's going on. Certainly, it changes everything about the game once people learn that particular secret. So is that a possibility? Yeah, it is. The only thing that makes me a little less certain on that one, or less optimistic that that's the situation. Normally, you get these wall yellers and stuff while people are known to be in the backyard, known to be available to hear it. If you're going through all the motions to be a wall yeller, to sneak wherever you're sneaking to and do all that kind of stuff, are you going to do it while the feeds are down and you don't know for certain that someone's outside or not? Or are you going to wait until you're watching on your TV and you know that half the house is outside just enjoying life and everything else? I think it's much more likely that a wall yeller would do something while you know people are outside rather than at some point while their feeds are off. So I'm kind of discounting the wall yeller as well. And then what's left? Well, I'm sure there's a lot that's left, but the final thing that came to me is, could you have had something happen during that veto competition? Let's talk about the worst situation perhaps first. Could someone have gotten injured? And I'm not just talking about spraining an ankle, getting a little heat exhaustion, things like that. No, I'm talking about a more severe injury. And who knows? I don't know. Fingers crossed that's not the situation. But could you have had a situation where someone did get injured and they're resolving that, making sure the person is okay, figuring out what they want to do going forward before they make any kind of announcements? Yeah, I think that is a situation here. And another thing I thought of, Matt is playing in this competition. He's one of the 6 players. Matt is hearing impaired. Could this have been a challenge that once they started to do the challenge, they realized that that Matt was at a very unfair advantage because he couldn't hear cues, he couldn't hear questions being asked? Is there something with the mechanics of this veto competition that just were not suitable for Matt playing the game? And rather than have him not be able to fairly compete with everyone else, perhaps they started the competition, quickly realized there was an issue, shut it down, said, we're going to change it up and make sure that everyone has an equal chance to compete. And with that being the case, perhaps they've spent the whole night re-engineering this veto competition, and they'll be doing it this morning instead. And we'll get feeds a little bit later today. As I think about that, maybe that's our best guess, our best case situation, is it has something to do with Matt and making sure he gets to play. I hope that's the case, because then we move on and it's business as usual. So maybe I'm throwing that out as my top preferred option, or thinking that may be the most likely scenario. It's something to do with Matt, his hearing impairment, and how that works with the veto itself. We'll see. And with that, what else? There was something else I was going to throw up. I don't know at this point, guys. All I know is I'm really tired of hearing the that earworm music that plays on the live feeds. And see, and with that, I don't know. All right, guys, we're gonna call it. We'll see what happens until tomorrow morning. Hopefully by then we have some answers. But until then, y'all have a fantastic Sunday. I'll keep my eyes on the screen the whole time. I'm sure y'all will as well. Have a great Sunday. Talk to y'all tomorrow morning with hopefully some answers. Until then, my friends, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.